It's time to strap in and get ready for the front stretch. Presented by Joe's Karting. Dan and Dirk are live in the studio today, ready to hear from you at 402-573-0590.
Well, good morning to you, race fans, and welcome to the front stretch. Presented by Joe's Karting at Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. Fast-paced white knuckle racing just across the river on 23rd Avenue. Get over to Joe's Karting today. Do yourself right with a little indoor kart racing. And I got talked into going over and doing that slick track on Tuesday night. They do that the first Tuesday of the month. And let's just say Tracy Weber whooped my butt. I got my lesson learned. Tracy helps out at the track and does pretty good at that slick track. That's a fun little thing because it's always kind of interesting when they just change the turns just a little bit, how much different you have to drive that track. Well, this is a complete oval, and they do put on a different right rear, which is far less grip. So even as you're accelerating out of the pits, you could turn that tire and burn them off. So you've got to be very light on the throttle, but it's a lot of fun. Next time they do it, it's going to be coming up, it's going to be May.
And it's the second Tuesday of the month.
So would it be the 14th?
If that's the way it works out.
Because that'd be the second Tuesday. Check out joeskarting.com. Check out their Facebook page. They're going to have it posted again. If you get an opportunity to go do it, it is a lot of fun. And it was kind of funny that that's the one that I went. That's when I went and raced after Bristol, because they were talking about for the entire Bristol race how exhausted these guys were going to be because they were pushing so much more speed and they were constantly turning. And it just seems like the car were a little bit faster. And some of these guys got out of the car and their tongues were out. They were dragging a little bit. They were exhausted from that day at the track. And I tell you, about 4 laps into that slick track, I was feeling it in my pecs, in my arms, in my everywhere on my upper body. I was feeling it. You've got pecs? I do. Well, at my age, they're called something different, but that's inappropriate for the on-air.
What? Moobs? Moobs is inappropriate?
joeskarting.com for more information on that. Get over and check out the slick track, but normally throughout the year, throughout the month, they're going to have the road course open, and it's a lot of fun to get over to Joe's Karting. If you need an eye-opening to how fun this racing thing can be, get over to Joe's Karting. Do yourself right. Indoor kart racing, days like today, it's going to be really nice because the temperature's going to be perfect, the cars are going to be warm, the track's going to be cool. You're going to have a great time. Get over there when they open up this morning. We got a big show lined up for you today. The big news, we get to recap 2 races, which last night's race capped off our first 5-week contest that's presented by Rick Havenridge of Wealth Partners, a private advisory practice of Ameriprise Financial Services. Visit online rickhavenridgeadvice.com for more information. It was powered by Kansas Speedway and provided by Starcom Racing. One lucky listener, one lucky contestant is heading to Kansas Speedway to be a crewman for a day. 4 additional ones are going via tickets that are sitting up in our prize vault. And they're going to go for the Friday night truck race and the Saturday night cup race and just have a great time. And we're going to announce that contest winner in turn number 4. But coming up in turn number 1, we're going to recap Bristol and Richmond really quickly. Then in turn number 2, we're going to sit down with Sport Mod driver, second-year veteran, second-year racer. He's going to be kicking off his second season in just about a week or 2 over at I-80 Speedway. Tim McCoid, driver of the 26M, will join us in turn number 2. And then third-generation driver, one of the legendary families in the area, Brian Kosiski, driver of the number 52 Super Late Model throughout the area and a part of the Malvern Bank Super Late Model Series, will join us in turn number 3. And then again, in turn number 4, we'll announce our 5-week winner. We'll tease the next contest, which is coming up in just a few short races, and we'll get you set for the week of racing to come throughout the area. To start off first, though, we have to send out our condolences to another racing family member that we lost.
Steve Peoples, everybody around I-80 Speedway has known Steve for years, was a racer in the Pro-Am division, lost his wife Mary this week. So Steve, prayers and condolences out to you and your family, and hope you're healing up in this time of need.
Send your thoughts and prayers and send him a positive message if you have access to communication with Steve. I know he will appreciate it. Coming up today at Tuffy's Tire and Auto in Bellevue, one of our great supporters of the show, Roadkill Jim Howe, is throwing a benefit at his Tuffy's Auto Center in Bellevue. Again, 2204 Pratt Avenue, right there on what's that? Cornhusker, right? is where it's just off of.
Just off of Cornhusker, yes.
You can't miss it. The whole business district there, right when you get off Highway 75 and you head west, you'll see Tuffy's Auto Center, and it is going to be a packed 50-50 raffle today, silent auction table, roadkills prize wheel, food, entertainment. There's going to be a live band. They're going to be auctioning off a 2004 Ford Expedition. There's going to be face painting, bouncy houses, and carnival games. Ooh, I am definitely going now. I guess those are for the kids. But this is for Friends Over Flooded Waters benefit. It's to help raise money for those that were affected by the floods over the last month and the recovery that has been going on over the last couple of weeks. Come and show your support. Matt and Patricia and Steve, Kerrigan and Steve are all needing your support. So get more information on that. You can find it on the Front Stretch Facebook page. We'll share the event page online so that way you can get more information on that. But it's going on today from 3 to 7. Again, live auction. We donated an absolute ton. I mean, literally a stack of autographed hero cards from dirt track drivers and NASCAR drivers, as well as some of the lug nuts. He happened to find one of the race-used lug nuts from Dale Earnhardt Jr. at Kansas Speedway the year that he retired. I didn't think we had those in the box anymore.
Well, I was going to say, I know there was one that just nobody seemed to want it for some reason, and I kept thinking to myself, you're wearing a Dale Earnhardt shirt, and you're not going to take that lug nut. What is wrong with you?
This isn't just a lug nut from Kansas Speedway. This is one that came off of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car at Kansas Speedway, because you're down in the pits during that race and hunting around picking up lug nuts.
And it would have been like his 4th or 5th race from the end of his career.
Yeah, it was the October race. So get over to Tuffy's Tire today. That, along with autographed hero cards from Sammy Swindell, Brian Brown, Jack Dover, Cody Ledger, McKenna Haase. These are just some of the few that I can think of off the top of my head that Roadkill grabbed. They're going to be a part of a silent auction and help raise money. Again, today from 3 to 7, Friends Over Flooded Waters benefit for Nebraska and Iowa that happened just a couple of weeks ago. All right, let's get into what happened at Bristol last week. The big story, unfortunately, that came out of Bristol was the seats. That was rough for a lot of people to see and the sport to swallow, but I think it does show a little bit of a glaring light on some of the issues that the sport is facing. Well, and being the consummate give the benefit of the doubt, I don't think it's all NASCAR's fault, but go ahead.
Well, it's absolutely not NASCAR's fault. There was a very good article that I read the other day that Clint Boyer sounds like he was trying to invite some friends and family down from Kansas, to the Bristol race. Maybe he thought he was going to go ahead and knock one out of the park at Bristol. But he got to calling around for motel rooms, and he couldn't find a motel room within 100 miles of Bristol for under $300 a night.
That's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we fight with it every year when we book our hotel rooms.
Yeah, but
at Kansas, it's half that.
It's half that. And we are, about 30 miles away?
Yep.
Roughly. So and that's just a Super 8 that's normally $85 or $90 a night. So they're upping at 50%. But NASCAR can't control that.
Right.
NASCAR can, and they even had some quotes in there. They spoke with Marcus Smith, who's the CEO of Speedway Motors, that owns Bristol Speedway and the drag strip and everything else. And he says they've tried to negotiate and tried to tell some of these local businesses that, hey, you guys got to back off on this.
Yeah.
And that's why the camping was always so huge at Bristol. But then the spring race was having rain so often and getting pushed back to Monday that's the other thing. Again, NASCAR can't control the weather, but that's the other thing that's really hurt this spring race. You'll see a lot better crowd at the night race. That was always the big one to go to.
Yeah.
But NASCAR has very little to do with why those stands weren't being
I completely
used.
agree. I figured it was me just, once again defending NASCAR because people love to attack the big boy in the area. And despite what you want to say, NASCAR is still a dominant force in the auto racing world, and they love to attack them. I think the race last Sunday was awesome.
Oh, it was fixed.
It was well, of course.
It was fixed. They crashed Kyle Busch just so he could come from the back.
But it was a great race. There was a lot of action. I think a lot of drivers were really happy that the compound that they put down on the track. They've gotten the mixture right. It seems to have it wears at a decent rate now to where it's not the first 100 laps is one race and then the other 400 laps are a completely different race. It seems to be a little bit more even now to where it's wearing. I think it's just unfortunate to see that. And we were kind of getting to it. When we go to Knoxville every year, we want to go to Knoxville and cover the 410 Nationals and the late model Nationals. but it's difficult when we have to book a hotel room 40 or 50 miles away in order to get down to the $120, $130 range. There's no way we're going to be able to afford to pay $250, $300 a night to go to Knoxville to cover a race. It's just that's way too much of our budget.
Well, and the one motel there just north of the track, was it the Red Roof Inn or something like that?
The Red Carpet Inn.
Red Carpet.
Yeah,
okay.
It was
during Knoxville, you have to rent for a whole week.
Yeah.
They don't have a nightly rate. You got to rent it for the whole week. And I mean, of course, the races last all week, so for some people, that's a great deal. But again, that's why the camping has become so huge over there.
Yeah, and I don't want to make it sound like we're harping on the hotels. We live in a capitalist society, and when your hotel is sold out and you've only charged $85 a night per hotel room, you look at it and go, boy, I could have charged more and covered my costs for during the slow time. So, it's a double-edged sword. You get frustrated at the hotels for charging it, but then again, the fans are paying it. The fans are obviously paying it, or they wouldn't charge that much.
Well, I'll guarantee you there were a lot of empty motel rooms in that Bristol
there
area.
Might have been. There absolutely might have been. We went a little bit too long. We got to get into it now. Kyle Busch ends up picking up the win after starting 17th and wrecking early. I thought like everybody else, because it's kind of a satisfaction to me because he's so good right now and he's so dominant that when he wrecks, I think, okay, that's one less guy I got to worry about, because I took Eric Jones at Bristol and I thought that's one less guy I got to worry about. He's going to be 2 or 3 laps down. Even when Kevin Harvick got his penalty, I thought he's going to be 2 or 3 laps down by the time he gets out of the pits and up to speed. I don't have to worry about Kevin Harvick. Needless to say, Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch finished on the lead lap. My guy, 3 laps down.
Well, he had that tire issue. He had the loose wheel, and Jones had gone 2 laps down through a unscheduled pit stop, and he got back up to where he was in the top 10 because I had also picked him, so I had my eyes on him. But then he had that loose wheel when he got back in the top 10, and boom, he's 2 laps down. Then he got caught in traffic and ended up losing another lap later in the race. But yeah, it's kind of how my guy went last night, too.
Eric Almirola looked like he had a strong car, but he was involved in an accident that brought out the caution that helped save Kevin Harvick. And that was, who did he tangle with? Was it the 3? He got into or the 3 or the 17, because the 17 seemed to get into everybody until he was finally off the track.
The 17s who got into Kyle Busch.
Okay. So it was a crazy drop of the green flag, and Eric Almirola ended up finishing 37th. Eric Jones, 24th, and Kyle Larson had another rough day, finishing a lap down, finishing 19th after starting 16th. Top 10, Jimmy Johnson was in that 10th spot. Ryan Newman with a good 9th place finish. Daniel Suarez in 8th. Clint Bowyer 7th. Paul Menard 6th. And Denny Hamlin in your top 5. Ryan Blaney 4th. Joey Logano 3rd. Kurt Busch ends up finishing 2nd. And Kyle Busch, very, very strong car at the end of the race, gets by Logano and Blaney to take over the lead and to win the race. Kyle Busch finished 6th in Stage 1, 5th in Stage 2, walks away with 51 points on the day. Ty Dillon ends up winning stage number 1, and Joey Logano won stage number 2.
Going back to that Almirola, when he got his crash and they took him behind the wall and they started thrashing on the car, and of course the announcers, DW and Jeff and Mike Joarro, saying, yeah, he's going to try and get back out there and, maybe only lose a lap or 2 with this. And if it wasn't for Larry Mack coming on and saying, no, he is out of the race. That is crash damage. That's not a mechanical failure, guys. He can't come out.
Absolutely.
Just sometimes those guys are so clueless. And DW retiring, you got an early Christmas present because you hate him more than I do.
I wouldn't say I hate him.
Yes, you do. I've heard you say it.
As a guy in the broadcast industry, and I do things that I'm sure irritate some of the fans, DW just does several things that just makes my blood boil, and I guess I can't blame him because he's not trained in the broadcasting industry, but somebody could tell him. But whatever, it's just he frustrates me, and I can actually empathize with him a little bit, because when you're up in that booth and you got 15 things you're trying to think of and trying to remember and trying to do, and then you happen to say something, and then because it's happened to me in the announcer's booth, and Anthony Ainsley pops on and says, "Actually, Dan, this and this," and I went, "Oh, duh, I knew that."
And Boogity 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 was pretty cool 15, 18 years ago, but it's kind of wore itself out.
All right, Richmond last night, we had more pre-race issues because of qualifying, or one of the practices getting rained out. They weren't able to inspect the cars, so they shifted the inspection to pre-race, and we had 8 drivers that failed pre-race inspection. 3 of them failed it twice. All 8 of them went to the back, and they had their qualifying time disallowed, and so they were credited with starting in the back. And we could read those drivers, but it really doesn't matter that much. Kyle Larson, is this just a bad year for him? Do you see any hope of them turning that 42 car around and having a good year?
Well, I mean, last night's deal, he got bumped around a little bit on a restart. He got caught in a sandwich, and so he had to pit out of sequence. Then he come out. I think he was just trying a little bit too hard, trying to make up some ground. I mean, he spun all by himself on the front straightaway. That takes an effort.
He was only able to finish 125 laps, finished 37th on the day. Other ones, Ryan Blaney finished 2 laps down in 25th position. And, guys like Ryan Preece, who has been strong at times in that 47 car, 20th. Daniel Hemrick, 19th. Daniel Suarez, who had a good finish last race at Bristol, and he finished 18th. Chase Elliott, 15th. Jimmy Johnson, 12th. Your top 10, Paul Menard, Ryan Newman, back-to-back 9th place finishes. Good for that 6 car at Roush Fenway Racing. Kyle Busch mustered an 8th place finish. Brad Keselowski, 7th. Austin Dillon finished 6th. Denny Hamlin with another top 5 finish. Kevin Harvick got up into the top 4 after starting on the pole. Clint Bowyer finished 3rd. Joey Logano 2nd. And Martin Truex Jr. picks up his first win of the year. First win for Joe Gibbs Racing and his first short track win. That's crazy to think about. He's been so good at the short tracks, but they really talked about that quite a bit during qualifying and a lot during the race, especially when he was up in the front, that he still didn't have a short track win until the checkered flag dropped last night.
Well, and he'd had 80 starts and only 2 top 5s.
Wow. Kyle Busch won stage number 1. Joey Logano won stage number 2, but Martin Truex Jr., the winner on the day, leading 186 laps. By the way, we've got a trivia question coming up at the end of this turn, and you're going to have to tell me who the lap leader was at the end of the race. We'll get you that question in just a minute to win a prize from us. Martin Truex Jr. finished 3rd in stage 1, 2nd in stage number 2, just steadily increasing as the day went on, and again, won the race, leading 186 of the 400 laps turned last night. 57 points on the day, so he was a big points getter for anybody in the Pick'ems contest that took him. Kyle Busch led 101 laps. Joey Logano, 52. Brad Keselowski, 31. And Kevin Harvick, 30th. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago at Texas, how it was all over the board with lap leaders. There were 5 lap leaders last night at Richmond.
Well, that's because at Texas you had all the green flag pit stops where they cycled through, and this guy'd lead a lap, and then he'd pit, and this guy'd lead a lap, and then he'd pit. At Richmond, the runs were fairly long, and when there was a green flag stop, or there was no green flag stops. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was 1 or 2 that were unscheduled for guys, but for the most part, they could run the whole segment without having to stop. So, but every time there was a caution, pretty much everybody pitted and got tires.
Kyle Busch is still your points leader with 3 wins on the year, 5 stage wins. He has 20 bonus playoff points walking into the playoffs later this year. Joey Logano in 2nd with a win. Denny Hamlin 3rd with 2 wins. Kevin Harvick, no wins yet on the year. He's in 4th place, and Brad Keselowski sits top 5 in your points with 2 wins on the year. Crazy to think we are 8 races completed, and only Joe Gibbs Racing and Team Penske have won races this year.
9 races completed.
You're correct. 9 races completed this year.
3 wins for Penske and 6 wins for Joe Gibbs.
402-573-0590. That is the digits to get ready and call right now. Here's your trivia question. I just gave away the answer not moments ago. Who led the most laps last night during the Toyota Owners 400 at Richmond Raceway? Who led the most laps? I don't need the number of laps. I just need to know who led the most laps last night at Richmond Raceway for the Toyota Owners 400. 402-573-0590. First person to answer that question correctly is going to get a pick of our prize vault, which does include a newly deposited pair of VIP passes to go to Oric Racing Complex in Ottawa, Iowa. You can get more information on that at oricracing.com, or actually the Oric Racing Facebook page. Make sure to get that. 402-573-0590. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back in turn number 2. Tim McCoid's going to join us. We'll be back on the front stretch.
The family with the 8-foot stainless grill is in. Bachelorettes hooting at the drivers are in. The tightwad dad doing a free parking fist bump.
Oh, yeah.
He's in. Nana with 6 speeding tickets? She's in. Cornhole aficionados and NASCAR newbies, in and in. The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series race at Kansas Speedway. Saturday, May 11th, under the lights. Tickets at kansasspeedway.com. You in?
Every race car driver has run into the same problem. It's well past normal parts store closing hours, but you need that one to finish your car. The guys who brought you White Knuckle Racing by the River bring you Joe's Karting Racing Parts and Tire Store. Open until 10 p.m. Monday to Thursday and open until 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. A parts store that fits your after-hours schedule, and you can turn a few laps at Joe's Karting while you're waiting for your part to get pulled from their warehouse. joeskarting.com for more information.
Welcome back to the front stretch. Time to do another Red Oak Fabrication interview, offering powder coating at an affordable price just down the road in Red Oak, Iowa. At the intersection of Highway 34 and 48 in Red Oak, Iowa. Get to Red Oak Fabrication today. Get your full chassis powder coated for just $275 if it is a bare frame. Any reworking or sandblasting that needs to be done might need to be just a little bit more for all that labor and time put into it. So just give Jordan a call today, 712-623-4911, or else you can email him, jordanf@redockfabrication.com. Also, they have the Facebook page. Jordan runs it. He's really quick about getting back to you. If you got any questions, you can message the Facebook page. But full chassis, fully powder coated, bare frames, $279. Saving yourself quite a bit of money, and we could always find good ways to save money in the racing world. Joining us now, a rather new driver, relatively new, I suppose, when you talk about 4th and 5th generation drivers. Tim McCoid joining us. How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
Doing really well. How many years have you been racing?
This will actually only be my 2nd year in a car, but working on them for 15, 16.
Okay, so you got quite a bit of history behind the wrenches.
Yeah, I'm the wrench and finally decided it was time to buy my own.
Probably underneath the car and went to stand up and hit his head.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you bump your head?
I bumped it a few times, and the last one took, I think.
Well, I first noticed you. You've been racing out of I-80 last year, and I got very frustrated one night because we were having some issues with drivers that we've all seen it at the racetrack when you're out there for the heat races and mid-pack guy, and he spins out on his own, and by gosh, that car just won't refire until that caution comes out. And it's weird how that works. And so I said over the microphone, whoever that guy is, he gets that car fired and going before the yellow comes out. I'm giving him $10, and I don't know if Lisa must have radioed you.
No, she called me and says, Dan owes you $10. I go, for what? But yeah, I remember that night because everybody's like, somebody owes you $10 because you spun out. And I laughed. I said, well, it wasn't intentional. I got spun out.
Yeah.
And I said, but the only reason I got going, I was mad. I was trying to catch the guy.
Oh. Well,
time to return the favor. That would have cost Dan $20.
Yeah.
But it was just one of those nights. Man, that gets me so frustrated. I'm sure as an announcer, because I live in that little microcosm of trying to keep the show moving, and I'm sure fans get frustrated when drivers do that too. You know, on the other side of it, I don't blame them, because when you're half a lap behind, your race is over with.
Exactly. And once I got started, I went, well, that was dumb. But it actually was a good thing in the end because
you got $10 in your pocket.
Well, I got $10, and I was literally a half a lap behind, and within a handful of laps, I was by myself, and I caught the field and was passing cars, and caution comes out, and I think that ended up being a top 10 finish at the end of the night.
Were you able to kind of be on your own and find your groove and find your line?
That's what it was. I wasn't worried about going in and is this person going to screw up? Am I going to screw up? I could just go in, and I knew if I spun out, nobody was hitting me because, I mean, I was last. So.
Oh, don't say that. They're half a lap. They'd have found you.
They would have.
Driving the number 26M machine, I love the black finish on it. It's a nice, slick-looking machine. I know some drivers would be a little bit worried about having a black car because in an instance where you spin, they're harder to see for the guys coming at you.
Yeah, and I was told at the end of the last year, they said, can you please put more color on that car? Because I got hit once. They slid up and hit me and said they never even saw me, and I was ahead of them.
Yeah.
So this year it's going to have a lot of fluorescent yellow and actually fluorescent pink on it.
Awesome.
A little bit of high vis.
Yeah, it's going to be.
We had that conversation with a couple of drivers. Yeah, there's a green that you could go with.
Yeah.
That's a good-looking green.
That's high vis.
By the way, for those of you listening to the interview, we're at the World of Wheels car show back in middle of March, and it's sitting right in front of us is Larry's welding 8-door F250 that he custom built out of his shop. The thing is an absolute behemoth, and it's a little bit brighter than a Mountain Dew green. But it's
high vis green.
Yeah, it's a beautiful green color. So is that kind of the color you're going for, or is it going to be a little more yellow?
No, mine it's actually just a straight neon yellow.
Okay.
And we ran it years ago on a Pro-Am that I worked on back in 2004, 5, 6. And I always said if I had my own car, it'd be black and neon yellow.
Yeah. Whose car was the neon yellow?
Matt McAtee.
Oh, okay.
6M.
Remember that car?
Yep.
What's the how long you been doing the crew chief? And you said it had been for about 15, 16 years.
Yeah, I started in 2002-3 helping Matt, and it kind of evolved from there. I helped him, and then when he quit, another friend of ours, Bubbler Ed, I helped him on his mod for a while, and he kind of gave up on it. So then went to Travis Hatcher's mod, just kind of bouncing from close friends, and Travis is the one that said, if you're going to do it, now's the time. So yeah. I went and bought one.
So did you hit your head on one like on each car?
Oh, so yeah. Yep. It took a few to get it to set in.
Well, now that you said you crewed for Travis Hatcher, some stuff's making sense.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a wild man.
Yeah, he likes throwing it in there a little further sideways than most.
How's the liver, by the way?
It's not good.
Travis, I love Travis at the racetrack, and I think it's weird to say my favorite memory of him is at the banquet in 2017 when he won his track championship.
Yep.
Everything he wooed.
Yep. Jesse Sobbing and him are great friends, and Jesse was sitting behind him, just had his surgery, so he could not yell woo. And so every time he'd want somebody to yell it, he'd hit the table and Travis would yell.
So
he was just doing it every 3 seconds on purpose.
That's 100% Travis. So 2018 was your first year. Went right into a sport mod. Any thoughts about running a stock or a hobby stock? Kind of get a little bit used to it, or you want to get right into a modified?
No, I said if I was going to do it, I was going straight in.
Yeah.
And luckily it worked out. I mean, I knew I had the backing for help just in the fact of Travis running an A-mod forever. Mm-hmm. So that helped. But I've always wanted to run an open wheel mod.
Yeah.
So.
Are you planning on staying with the sport mods for a while, or is your dream to move into the A-mod?
I'd like to move into an A-mod in a year or two, and the big goal would be a super late model, but I don't see it happening unless some big sponsors come along.
Well, you've done a good job in this offseason picking up some new sponsors.
Yeah, I've picked up a few, and that helps a lot. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens this year. The goal this year is, with the Rookie of the Year title last year, the goal this year is pick up a couple wins. So
yeah, well, hey, all you got to do is win. It's that easy. Just keep winning, and the sponsors will come.
Yeah, it sounds that easy. I had one race. I thought I had one, and I led from lap 1 to lap 14
of a 15-lap feature.
It
was a 12-lap feature, but he still screwed it up.
At one point they said I had a full straightaway on 2 of the top guys that we run with, and the car just progressively got tighter and tighter, and with 3 laps, 4 laps to go, it was too tight to make the corner, and they didn't have to lift, and I did.
Yeah, that's a painful one. And you could tell that story just like Bobby Pierce. He led 75 of 80-lap feature, and he fell just 5 laps short of a $53,000 payday.
Yep. Mine was short of a $400 payday, and I thought that was a knife to the back.
But those are the memories that are going to remind you when you're leading that next time, and you're going to go, it's not getting away from me this time.
Yep. This time, after thinking about it, I'm like, all I had to do was slide down my entry a half a lane, and the car would have slid through and not been tight. It would have kind of corrected itself.
That's what I was just going to ask you. Did you figure out what the problem was? Did you broke something, but it was just a driver entry, basically?
What it was the bolt on the panhard bar come loose and dropped down, and it dropped over 1.25 inches, so it just instantly went tight.
Oh. And that's frustrating when you're out of the car later thinking about it, and you went, it was just I could have moved the line down a little bit.
I was like, what could I have done? And I was racking my brain, and Travis says if you would have went in a half a lane lower, the car would have went through the slick and turned itself enough to where you could have caught the cushion. And I was going in on the cushion.
Yeah, but that's an experience thing.
Yep.
And you're getting there.
Yeah.
You'll learn it. Racing at I-80 weekly, did you race anywhere else last year?
I raced a couple nights at Denison on I-80's off nights, and then I ran handful, 5 or 6 nights at Harlan, Shelby County Speedway, and it's a fun track. I'm not sure how to put it. It's as big, but it's a totally different monster than I-80.
It's funny how that how they look similar, but they're so different.
Yeah, you have to drive them completely different.
And Knoxville's kind of the same way. It's about the same size, but the corners are a little bit wider. And so it just that simple change, you have to completely change up your driving style at that track.
Yeah, and with Harlan, you have to change 1 and 2 completely different from 3 and 4.
Yeah.
It's just two. It doesn't look different, but they run totally different ends.
And Dirk was talking about it. Even the same track, you know, the way the sun sets at I-80 and the wind blows, 3 and 4 are totally different than 1 and 2, even though they're the same design. It's the amount of water that's left in the track.
Yeah, exactly, because I've went into, it sounds bad, but I've went into turn 3 at I-80 completely blind before with that sun setting. You're like, you're just hoping nobody spun out in front of you for that half a second.
That's something we have to keep reminding fans every once in a while when we take these big, long delays. And, you know, I get frustrated again because I'm like, let's keep the show going. Let's keep moving. And then you stop and realize, wait, they're letting the sun set so the drivers aren't in danger.
Down for 20 minutes or a half hour.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And if they don't, I mean, I've literally went in the corner and not seen anything for 30 yards. I'm like, that's a problem.
And they do a really good job of trying to get the heat races in before that sun starts to become a danger, then taking that 20, 30-minute break and then rolling the features out.
Exactly, and that's why I've talked to Lisa before and straight out told her there's specific reasons why I run there. And it's the way they run things, the facility's nice, but mainly her and Joe just run such a great place.
Yeah. They're very
else.
driver friendly.
Yes.
They're hyper focused on making sure that the track operates in a way that is very driver friendly.
Correct.
And one thing it does help you, and it teaches you as a driver, you know, like you said, when you got that, you know, 2-second blind spot or whatever, it teaches you how to drive well past your hood. You know, you're going down the back straight going, I know I'm not going to see in a minute. Do I see anybody sideways up there that might be there when I get there?
Yeah, and that was one thing I learned as a crew guy, because I had to tell a couple guys, I'm like, quit driving off your bumper. And they knew better, but it was one night, it was just frustration. I'm like, you got to look out further. So I've always focused 5, 6, 7 cars ahead. And luckily this year I avoided some big pileups just for the fact of looking ahead and not off my bumper.
26M again this year. Plans to run I-80 full time?
Yep.
And then are you going to try to hit another track on a regular basis?
I'm going to try to run Harlan as much as possible.
Yeah.
The plan was to try to run Stewart, but they went to a Wednesday. So that'll be a hit and miss deal. The main goal is I keep it in one piece. I'm going to run Super Nationals.
All right. That's an ambitious goal.
If it's in one piece by the end of the year, that's a big goal.
Think some of the sponsors that are coming on board the 26M machine this year.
Well, the Whip Brothers Farms, they stayed on. I kept Damian Scholl's State Farm Insurance. I've got Jake's Towing is new this year. Council Bluffs Concrete Construction, they're new. Ron Larson Inc. is new. Paco's Tire out of Underwood is new. I kept Mike Cole. Travis helps me out with spare parts or tires or whatever. Really, my company, the handcrafted woodworking. So we do that. It's more of a hobby than a company.
I wish you wouldn't have told me that, because I'm going to spend so much stupid money with you. I love wood. My grandpa was a woodworker, and
it's fun.
And I did not inherit an ounce of that trait. And
that's where I got it, was Grandpa.
I love woodworking stuff. I think it's just the most beautiful thing in the world.
Yep. It's I started very young with very dangerous saws with my grandpa.
Be nice. Maybe he needs an assistant.
Yeah, maybe. Well,
an apprentice.
No, I don't want to assist him because I want my fingers.
Yeah. Yeah, I used a saw when I was a child, and it was something come off and shot across the shop, and my grandpa thought I lost a finger young. I'm like, nope.
I used to saw when I was a kid, too.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, don't make Dan an apprentice because you'll have to go, you're fired.
Yeah. I did not get any of the handyman traits. Now, I can hang things. I can build some very basic stuff. But to do some beautiful woodworking, no. I have a dresser in my bedroom that my grandpa built, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I look at it every morning, and I think, how the heck did he do that?
Yeah, exactly. And I look at some of the stuff he built, and I'm like, I'm building more furniture, and he's building intricate stuff that I wouldn't even try to build.
Anybody else coming on board? Did you mention the Red Oak Concrete? I saw they came on.
Council Bluffs Concrete, they did come on.
Concrete. Council Bluffs Concrete. I'm stuck on Red Oak Fabrication.
Yeah. Council Bluffs Concrete come on this year. They paid for the pit stall at I-80, so that's going to be nice.
And every little bit helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important when you get those everyday budget expenses. When you get a sponsor to come on board and pay for those, it's amazing how that helps.
And that's what I told people. They're like, well, does this much do anything, or do you need – they're like, I don't have $1,000. I'm like, $1,000 sponsors are very few and far between.
Right.
It's
those are the farmers.
Yeah. It's very rough to get a hold of a $1,000 sponsor, and $100 sponsors are what get you through a week, honestly.
Buy me a tire a month.
That's exactly what it is.
You know.
And I've got one guy, Jake's Towing. He's one of those, he likes to give it to you in sections. That way, and that's perfect because mid-year he's going to go buy me some tires.
Yeah.
So when you're needing them, they're there.
Yeah, that's what Joe I always heard Joe tell Andrew that. He said, you make them pay you in 4 installments.
Correct.
Because you'd be amazed how fast you'll blow through your sponsorship money, and then you're halfway through the season, you're competing for a championship, but the bank account's dry, and you can't go buy tires.
No.
You can't afford to do anything.
Well, I went into last season. I bought the car. I had nothing. I started with absolutely nothing in February, and I made I-80's opening night with a turnkey race car, a trailer, fully loaded, and there was a couple days I questioned my sanity with why I was spending this kind of money.
I was going to say, I never saw your name in the lottery winners list.
No, it was my life savings was gone in a matter of a couple months. Financially, I say that was the dumbest thing I've ever done, but for a peace of mind, it was the greatest thing I ever did. It brought me back to sanity.
It's a sense of accomplishment, and it's got to be exciting to be out there racing and just having a good time.
It is. There was a couple nights I hit the wall, whatever, and I got out and I kind of laughed about it. They're like, well, this broke. I'm like, who cares?
Yeah.
I'm like, I've got the parts. It's a little bit of time.
Who's helping you on your car?
Really, last year Travis helped me put it together, but at the track, he did what he could, and I did what I could for him. My brother Nick comes down when he can. My uncle Don has tried to come down and help me during the winter, but he's one of those guys, he knows old cars, but he doesn't know race cars.
Yeah.
So it's pretty close to a one-man band for work-wise.
Yeah, somebody that knows cars, at least you can tell them what to do and they can do it.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
But don't say go set the rear end.
No, and that's what he said one day. His son come over and was just bored helping me, and I tore the front suspension off and was putting it all back together. He looked at me, goes, I really hope you know what you're doing because I have no clue. I'm like, well, let's hope, because if it falls off, it's a bad deal.
Well, this is a ball joint. Just tighten the nut up. You know, put the ball joint in right. Yeah, tighten it up. Put the cotter pin in.
Yep, exactly.
Where's the 26 come from?
My birthday.
Okay.
September 26th.
Okay.
And it kind of was funny because I started racing with Matt McAtee with a 6M, and so it kind of just flowed together. I'm like, it kind of brings the old and the new.
Well, at least you didn't say my IQ.
Yeah, that number's probably too high anyway.
Tim McCoid, driver of the number 26M. You can catch him out weekly at I-80 Speedway, and as he is able to, you said you're going to try to hit up.
I'll hit up Shelby County when I can.
That's right.
I'm going to try to run 2 nights a week just to get the seat time, but if I-80 is the focus, I want to try to run with Harker and Andrews and those for that points.
Good luck.
Yeah, that's
those
what I
guys
thought.
Are tough.
It's going to be tough.
Good luck this year. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
We'll be back on the front stretch.
First Detail Supply at 102nd and J offers you the same professional-grade products that are used in detail shops across the United States. With the high-quality detail products and the guidance you'll receive from First Detail Supply, your car, truck, motorcycle, or boat will shine with a lasting finish. Find out more about First Detail Supply by stopping in at 102nd and J Street or check out firstdetailsupply.com. Don't forget to mention Front Stretch and receive 10% off your purchase.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole of the Front Stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Located on Mid-America Drive in Council Bluffs.
Feather the brake and get back to the gas. Dan and Dirk are headed into turn 3 on the front stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch, rolling into turn number 3, and it's time to have another Red Oak Fabrication interview. If you need to get your chassis powder coated, get it at an affordable price just down the road on the intersection of Highway 34 and 48 in Red Oak, Iowa at Red Oak Fabrication. $275 to get your bare frame powder coated. Now you may be thinking it's race season. Why do I need to get my chassis powder coated? Because these prices are going to stay pretty locked in for all of the summertime if you have to get a second car built, or even through the wintertime when you're starting to work on your 2020 car. And also, as Dirk's been talking about, all your parts and pieces can get powder coated pretty quickly too. Just give them a call today. Red Oak Fabrication, 712-623-4911, or you can email Jordan at redoakfabrication.com. Joining us on the show now, driver number 92 late model throughout the area. He's been in the Grand National class. Excuse me, your uncle is now yelling at me subliminally. It's the Bragging Rights late model class, not the Grand National class, and also in the super late model, racing in the Malvern Bank Super Late Model Series, the number 52. Brian Kosiski, how you doing, bud?
I'm pretty good. How about you guys?
Doing great. You've had an exciting off season. Decided to take the plunge, and you got engaged last year, and then you got married in the off season.
Right. Yeah. So that's been a big change. In October, we got married, and we had to kind of work around race season. We had to work around tax season for her. So October seemed like the best time to do it, right after race season.
Great girl. I mean, I've enjoyed watching you guys, and you seem very much in love, which is something that, you find a lot of people that they fall in love and then they fall out, and then, it's back and forth, but you guys have been very close for quite a while.
Yeah, we've known each other for several years, and it's been a long distance, but we got to know each other through our families, their businesses, not through racing, so it's been good. We've had to work it out, and we've made it work, and she's been introduced to racing, of course, and so that's been a little bit of a change for her, and we work around it together, though, and yeah. So
I can't believe you actually met somebody that wasn't through racing.
Yeah. That's probably the better thing to do, maybe. Sounds like.
Yeah, it's sometimes it works. It works out great.
It works either way, but we're definitely excited, and we've been married for 5 months now, and the question of the month's been, how's married life? So.
She's not tired of you yet?
No.
Well, I give you guys a lot of respect because you guys really went traditional with your relationship. You didn't live together ahead of time. You didn't do a lot of stuff that a lot of modern couples do. And I give you guys a lot of respect for that because that's a lot of pressure that it's easy to give into the temptation of doing it more modern. But you guys went very, very old school in the way you guys handled your relationship.
Yeah, for sure. We were kind of the odd couple because a lot of our friends, a lot of everybody you see in today's world, they'll move in together, and which is fine. That's up to them. But how we were brought up and raised, and what we believed in was, let's just wait and get married and do it the traditional way, and hopefully it'll be better off then. And so that's a lot of traditional things that seem to be in my life with racing, with the paint scheme, with the car, how I drive. It's been a challenge, but we're off to the races now with it.
I get a kick out of I've become very good friends with your uncle and you're with your dad, and I'm still continuously amazed. It's easy to tell you're Steve's son and Andrew is Joe's son, but to think you two are cousins and those two are brothers, you can't get much different when you're talking about just a couple of years difference in the same parents, and then both you and Andrew act very close to what your fathers are.
Well, we've been told that, but we're both definitely not them.
Yeah.
They've been a lot more successful. I mean, we're just trying to do it because that's what we grew up loving to do, and I mean, we would hope to be halfway as successful as they were, but you know, we've been told that before, though.
But you both have the not only the pedigree for winning, but the drive for it and the intelligence level behind it, and the and like I just said, the drive for it is the biggest thing. Is you guys are hungry to win and very passionate about it.
We're fortunate that we have the dads and the families that we have, because we get a lot of history, experience, help with things. Although they're busy with trying to run the businesses and the racetrack and stuff, that can be difficult at times, but they still put as much effort as possible to try to help us out, and I think we're both pretty lucky, we would say, to have that information coming from them.
And you guys have really made your own path. I mean, despite having the last name that you do and the resources that you do, with the pedigree, with being able to lean on your dad and your uncle and your grandpa and everybody that's in the family, you do have to learn things on your own, though. And you guys have done a very good job, I think, of stepping outside the shadow and making your own history.
Yeah, for sure. We that's kind of what you have to do. And I was down there at the shop earlier today just welding things. My dad has helped do that before with me on when I need help fabricating on the car, and well, I'm doing some of that myself now. We're having to teach ourselves new things with setups of the car, because the cars are similar, but the cars are different in today's world, and they don't know, and they can figure it out and try to understand, but they don't want to in some areas because they know it's changed so much.
Well, you haven't seen near the changes that your dad and uncle saw of the cars through the 80s. I mean, the cantilever car came out, and man, that was, somebody won a race with a shock that was laying like this, and boom. 2 weeks, everybody had this rear end in their car. Nobody could make it work, but the guy that won with it the one time, and then everybody's back, and then they went to leaf springs again, then back to 4 bars. It hasn't changed all that much in the last couple of years. Little tweaks here and there, but not near. I mean, you could ask your dad some of the rear end setups that he had to work with, and you'd be amazed.
It's definitely got more expensive, I can tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
What hasn't?
Yeah.
You seen gas prices lately?
Yeah.
It's still the cubic dollar.
Yeah. It's amazing, though. One of the biggest changes that I've noticed is aerodynamics in the cars. You get up next to somebody or behind somebody, you can feel the air move the car around, and it's so important. It seems like when we're racing around the tracks, how important aerodynamics are.
But they've always been important, but nobody paid any attention to it before.
Right.
I mean, you saw a little bit with the wedge noses and some of the different stuff you saw over the years, but I mean, now every time there's a Lucas Oil interview, the first thing the guy said, well, I got into the clean air and off I went, you know. And we talked to Bobby Pierce last year after the Lucas Oil race over at Knoxville. And like he said, he goes, every time I got close to Owens to pass him, he goes, I lost the air on my front end, and he kept going up on that berm in 2, and next thing you know, he had 5 pounds of mud up under his oil pan, and you know, it's a big deal.
It is.
You've had a great career going to it, you know, and I think you've came up through the ranks nice and steady, and you haven't jumped the gun on moving into the next class and kind of getting your feet wet, but then also figuring out the ins and the outs.
Yeah, for sure this class is the toughest that I've been in. Some could say maybe otherwise, you know, maybe the sprints are harder, maybe modifieds are harder. I'm not going to argue with anybody of that. In my career, going from the B mod to the Grand National, or to the bragging rights, late miles, and then now to the supers, it was for sure a big step. I mean, yeah, really all you change is horsepower, but you don't just change horsepower moving classes. You change a lot of other features that the car can have with technology-wise. And last year was definitely the toughest year I've ever had.
Well, and this is the pinnacle of super late model racing in the Midwest, is that Malvern Bank Touring Series. And you've got guys like Kyle Burke that if he has a third place finish, it's a bad day for him. and Tad Pospischel and Ben Schaller and when Jesse Saubing comes and runs it every once in a while. I mean, there's so many guys, and I know I'm forgetting so many of them. Anthony's over there cussing at me because I'm forgetting all the great late model drivers. But then you've got to find your way. And your cousin Andrew is doing very well. And Bill Layton Jr. is I mean, any given night, you're talking about top 5, top 6 are easily winnable cars. And that's something you don't get in a lot of classes where somebody shows up to a track or a touring series and, it's got like Donnie Schatz for the World of Outlaws. Well, it's who's running for second,
Right, and it's many times this year it's easy to get down on yourselves when you have a bad finish. If you're outside the top 5, let's say you finish 7th or 8th, it's easy to get down. But then when you look at it and say, well, this night Tad finished right behind me, so you can kind of look at it as a positive that way, because the field, like you guys are saying, is so tough. It's a good. I would say any race we go to, 10 cars could win.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you do make a 7th or 8th place run and it's like, the car's just not hooked up, it's not doing this or it's not doing that, you get back Monday or Tuesday night when you're doing your maintenance and you start pulling something apart and you find something bent or broke.
Right.
There I am.
A seized up Heim, anything, a bad shock could really throw you off.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about your year, what you're planning on doing. I assume you're going to run weekly with the Malvern Banks. Well, not weekly, but you're going to run with the Malvern Banks series again?
I'm going to run with the series again, and weekly at I-80 with the super class. That's pretty much it. If we have a bunch of rainouts early, maybe I can go try to run some other series, but pretty much we're going to just stick with those two.
Try to run with the Lucas Oil guys every once in a while?
I don't know about that yet. I need to – what I've always said is if we can get consistently in the top 5 in our series and our weekly racing, then maybe we can stretch out and do a couple of those here and there and hit and miss. But we really want to be good up front and competitive in our series that we have here first.
So are you, as far as a 8 to 5 job, are you with the family business or?
Yep. So it's not really 8 to 5. Some days it's 7 to 7, but some days it's 8
7
to 5.
7 a.m. to 7 a.m.?
No, probably not that. But, it's the hours might be longer some days, coming with a family business. But, yeah, that's my main focus, and that's our main focus as a family. And then racing comes after that. But
so are you like at the sales counter? Are you working the yard? What are you doing?
Well, I'm working in the back. It's not really a one spot area that I'm in. I always say my desk is kind of on my feet, I guess. I do sit at a computer some parts of the day, but I take care of the commodities part of our business, which is kind of when the car is at its end of its life, we have to figure out what we want to take off it, what we want to save, where the commodity parts of the car are going. If there's a hot item that a rebuilder is buying off of certain types of cars, I'm making sure that we're gathering that out of whatever types of cars are in the yard that has those parts, and or getting the parts from another yard that we work with.
That's a lot of parts to remember.
Yeah.
I know, like Andrew's up the sales desk or something, so yeah, So
Andrew's pretty much he's by far our best salesman that we have. But yeah, he's working up there. I'm kind of working in the back. It's a big machine moving, and there's a lot of people there, and all the parts have to move and work together.
Oh, yeah.
And in just a couple of years, maybe 5, 8 years, you guys could be taking over running that place.
I don't know about that soon, but both of our dads they're moving pretty fast still. And I don't see that happening for a while, but we're slowly getting prepared for it. And
I think Joe's going to be there when he's like 104 or something.
Maybe.
There's going to be a headstone's the only thing that's going to slow those you and your dad and your uncle down.
Nothing slows them down too much.
Yeah.
You think they might just be taking a break, but they're always got something going on.
Brian Kosiski, driver of the number 52 Super Light model. Thanks some of them sponsors to get you up and down the road each week.
Well, of course, I'd like to thank Malvern Bank. Jay's been a big influence not only to me and our family, but to the series and to the racetrack. So I'd like to thank them, Imperial Tile and Belt Custom Homes. Both those guys have been with me a long time, pretty much ever since I started. Mobile Tech and TB and Company, they jumped on a few years after them. Todd Borkmeyer's been a friend of my dad's. So has Mark. Ben Barber, he's helped me out quite a bit too through the years. And then I got pretty much some family sponsors, Kosiski Auto Parts, Smith Auto, which is my brother and sister-in-law's family's place, Jet Powertrain, which is my wife's parents' companies. So some of those, that's pretty much the main ones. I've got some couple smaller ones that people might give me.
They help you out with the tire bill, or maybe even some ice for the cooler when you guys go down to stay cool during those hot months at the track.
Right, exactly.
Brian, always do appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming by. Appreciate you hanging out, waiting for us to get ready for you to interview.
Of course, yeah. Thank you, guys.
And a patient wife. A patient wife.
She is. She's very patient.
We'll be back on the front stretch.
All right.
Hey, look at that. You're sitting on your couch playing Halo, Madden, or NASCAR while your friends are at Joe's Karting. Each lap is an adrenaline-filled, heart-pumping, white-knuckle experience that you can only get at the Metro's largest indoor karting track. Eco-friendly Honda engines rip you around the professionally designed road course at breakneck speeds. Can you reach the 14-second lap bracket? There's only one way to find out. Put the controller down and get to Joe's Karting, 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs next to Quaker Steak and Lube. First Detail Supply at 102nd and J offers you the same professional-grade products that are used in detail shops across the United States. With the high-quality detail products and the guidance you'll receive from First Detail Supply, your car, truck, motorcycle, or boat will shine with a lasting finish. Find out more about First Detail Supply by stopping in at 102nd and J Street or check out firstdetailsupply.com. Don't forget to mention Front Stretch and receive 10% off your purchase.
The camper flying 18 flags is in. The guys on pit road are in. Second graders with mohawks, in. Bratwurst for your 25 closest friends. Bring it in. And because it's BYOB, your soft cooler is always in. The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series race at Kansas Speedway. Saturday, May 11th, under the lights. Tickets at kansasSpeedway.com. You in?
Dan and Dirk are live for one last corner. Give them a call now at 402-573-0590.
We went just a little bit long in turn number 1. Shocker.
No.
And then made sure to save time for Tim McCoid and Brian Kosiski. By the way, I do know that Brian Kosiski drives the 52. How funny is it that we were talking about DW making stupid mistakes on the air? I kind of defended him, and then I opened up the last corner by saying he drives the number 92. I mean, that's one of those deals. That's exactly what I was defending for. I apologize. Brian drives the number 52. I know that.
Brian
that was a long day.
Jacob Brown. Yeah,
right.
you know.
It was a long day. They both win. All right, so no race today. Obviously, we raced last night at Richmond. No race next Sunday because of Easter Sunday. We come back for Talladega.
What will we ever do?
Sunday, April 28th at 1 p.m. on Fox and MRN. We'll get you set for that next weekend show or in a couple of weeks. Though we did have a result that finished up last night, the Pick'ems contest that is presented by Rick Havenridge of Wealth Partners, a private wealth advisory practice of Ameriprise Financial Services. Visit them online, rickhavenridgeadvice.com for more information on that.
We get any winners on our trivia question?
We did. You say it. I don't want to talk about it. He didn't have to lap me for a third time. It was coming to the end. He could have just let me go. Anyway, Tracy Weber won himself some passes. I'm going to give him a call on Monday or message him on Facebook today and figure out what he's going to win. But he's got the option of anything in our prize vault, from autographed hero cards to newly deposited VIP passes to Oric, which I'm sure he's going to take up unless he's over there racing, because I think he's getting that drag car ready.
Yeah, I think he's pretty much ready to get around the track again for the year, but don't know if he'll want to, or if he plans on going up there. I know he's going to go a couple times for the year, but I don't know how soon.
Our 5-week contest wrapped up last night at Richmond. Congratulations to R.L. Smith. I mean, what a pick in 5 weeks he had. 2 weeks in a row, he picked the biggest points getter of the year, of the race. 60 points from Autos Club, 60 points from Martinsville. I think 50 was the most he could get at Texas with the results at that race. Bristol, he picked up 51 points, and Richmond was his worst showing 48 points. He started off with a 58-way tie for the lead, held on to it the entire time, and he was our winner overall, picking up the Crewman for a Day contest. Him and a buddy are going to be heading down to Kansas Speedway to partner with Starcom Racing. Got to say a big thank you to Starcom and Kansas Speedway for hooking us up with all that stuff.
Well, looking at the standings here with the next four, the thing that kind of shocks me is I remember we had two people that were perfect after two races, and that second one is not in the top five anymore.
Right.
It just shows people this in a 5-week contest, just one bad week somewhere can really, kick you to the curb. So don't give up.
Patrick Watkins, Hugh Houston, Chet Stambaugh, and Aaron Roth have all won themselves tickets. And we should say this is not official. We have to wait for the penalty report to be released by NASCAR, which typically comes out the day after the race. I doubt they're going to put it out today, so it'll probably be Monday, maybe even Tuesday morning they release that penalty report. If there happens to be any post-race infractions that drivers were penalized points, then this could shake things up a little bit. But unofficially, R.L. Smith is our Crewman for the Day contest winner. Patrick Watkins, Hugh Houston, Chet Stambaugh, and Aaron Roth all won themselves a pair of tickets to Friday night's truck race and Saturday night's cup race.
And the third and fourth place after the week one were in 31st place. They were tied for 31st, so they got all the way back and got into the prizes. So,
even after the first 2 weeks, if you're back there in the 30s, you still have a good shot at getting up into the prize pool and picking yourself something up great. Congratulations to those guys. Thanks again to Ray Cavenridge for helping us pay for that. Thank you to Starcom Racing for hooking us up with the opportunity, and thanks to Kansas Speedway for giving us all the passes and the tickets. Coming up this Friday at Eagle Raceway, it is the Icebreaker Challenge. Get more information, eagleraceway.com. It's a Friday-Saturday show featuring modifieds, sprint cars, sprint series of Nebraska, and I think sport mods also. So get out there and enjoy that race. And then also today, the Friends Over Flooded Waters benefit. I tried to share it on the Facebook page, but it's a private event. I'm getting with Jim to get that fixed so you guys get more information. Get to Bellevue and get to Tuffy's IR Center in Bellevue 3 to 7 today. Bring some money, help benefit some of the peoples that were affected by the flood. Thank you to Tim McCoid. Thank you to Brian Kosiski for joining us, and thanks everybody for listening. This is the Front Stretch presented by Joe's Karting.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole of the Front Stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Located on Mid-America Drive in Council Bluffs.
We all have that coworker that runs their mouth off at how great they are. They shot a 5 under par, 95-mile-an-hour fastball, bench press 375, brah. Wouldn't you love to shut them up by schooling them at Joe's Karting? Council Bluffs' premier indoor karting track, professionally designed so each corner is your opportunity to embarrass your coworker. Call Buddy for your next company outing at 712-256-5278. Joe's Karting, white knuckle racing just across the river on 23rd Avenue next to AMC 17.
This has been the Front Stretch Radio Show, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. To contact Dan or Dirk, find them on Facebook at The Front Stretch or email them at frontstretch590@gmail.com. If you missed any part of today's show or want to hear a previous show, subscribe to the Joe's Karting YouTube page, where you can find almost every Front Stretch show.